Entering the Pat Mayo Experience.
Pat Mayo Experience. Pat Mayo Experience. Pat Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings. Part 2 of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. You missed part 1? Fuck's wrong with you? Hit the description after the show, obviously, or watch it first. That would actually make more logical sense. It's down in the description with the entire free Pat Mayo Experience NFL draft guide. You can find everything you want down there already done. We got more coming in. Smash the like button to the episode. Rate and review the Pat Mayo Experience podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Subscribe. Well, you're there already as well, and to the newsletter. All completely free to do to help us churn out more content for you. Want to remind everyone today the rules about the NFL best quarterbacks. As we went through before, you can do this myriad ways where you can have a guy for 1 season, for 10 years. That's not what we're doing. We threw contracts out the window. Which quarterbacks would you want for this year, next year, and the year after? It's a 3-year sample. That's what we're going with for this specific ranking of real-life quarterbacks that we would want on our teams to try to win the Super Bowl. To recap what we got going on so far. At number 15, Kyler Murray. Number 14, Derek Carr. Number 13, Trevor Lawrence. Number 12, Kirk Cousins. Number 11, the hardest guy to rank on this list because he might retire, Tom Brady. Those 5 are all covered in part 1 along with the honorable mentions and some nonsense for a Cust Corner. So if you want to know why those guys are ranked there according to us, you can go check out that show. It's not very difficult to do, so don't be triggered about it until you hear what we have to say. Then you'll be even more triggered about why they are ranked where they are. Geoff Fienberg is on the line with me right now. You excited for part 2? Because we're into the nitty-gritty here.
Yeah, this is the goods. This is where you got to be to have a chance. Like, go home without it.
Yeah, and actually, it's not actually even the first guy that we talk about. I'm surprised about that because I talked about the different tiers of guys that goes from Tannehill to Derek Carr to Kirk Cousins to one more guy was a tier I was really hammering down on of. I think they're all kind of the same guy, just different levels of being good. But we'll try to parse that through because he appeared way higher on one man's list than all of the other lists. And that man is certified insane person, Tim Undergust.
Tim Undergust.
That is not my name. And if you have time for another question or story, I have one too.
Oh, let's hear it.
So I've asked 2 people, and I've gotten 2 different answers. One person who supports what I'm going to say, and how hard do you think bull riding is?
Oh, my God.
And do you think I could do it?
This is just like how you said, Geoff, do you know what a busker is?
Yeah, it's like the dudes on the street, or they stand on stilts, or they just perform. They're street performers.
Street performers. Tim saying that being a busker wouldn't be very hard. He saw a guy doing backflips on a pogo stick and then claimed he could do it.
I don't even know that the bull riding justifies a response.
The mechanical bull, not a real physical bull. I'm talking about those mechanical bulls you see at like a bar.
Well, how am I supposed to differentiate? You didn't even say that.
That's why I jumped in. I'm not talking about real physical bulls at the Calgary Stampede. I'm talking about
I think those have settings. Like on the child setting, you'll be fine.
No, but at the full
grown-up man setting, you get tossed.
Even on the child setting, it's still Tim, right?
Like,
listen,
can I
wouldn't do well either.
Seconds? Can I last 2 seconds? Yes, and that's what I was trying to assert.
Do you think you could last 2 seconds on it?
I mean, 8 is the number you're looking for, right? That's what they're in pro settings. They're looking for 8 seconds.
So 2 seconds on a real bull would be fine. This is a fucking mechanical bull at a bar. It's not designed for you to be tossed off of it right away.
Yeah, you just put $2 into it.
Like, so you agree with me? Do you think I could last at least 2 seconds on a mechanical bull at the full setting? Okay, great. I'm glad to hear you agree with me.
On the bar, at a bar, right?
Yes.
At full setting?
Yeah, full setting.
Well, you're a big guy.
1, 2.
You're a big guy. Well, you're a big guy, so it'd be hard to shake you right away. Yeah, I feel like I would take the over on 2.0 seconds for you. It might be like 2.7.
Oh, I feel so relieved. Thank you. This is great. You've made my whole day.
All right, now you gonna go argue with your dad or something?
No, not my father. I haven't mentioned it to him. He would just laugh at me.
Okay, let's get into number 10 on the list. Like I said, Tom Brady was number 11. Number
Even a real
10
bowl wouldn't be that hard. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's your show now. Go ahead.
No, it's not.
Did you
but
say
even a real bowl?
Do you think you could? I would wager you couldn't get on a real bull.
They help you onto the bull.
Yeah, the bull is in like a box,
and you like come down from above.
It is.
I
climb on.
No, I stand by my claim. You couldn't sit on a real bull unless it was heavily tranquilized.
You'd be way too scared.
Unless the bull's diet was Jeff after a Chargers loss, you're not getting on that.
Tim, you're too scared. You're too scared to go down the icy stairs at your house. Like, you think you're gonna hop onto the back of a real bull? No way, no chance.
You're too scared to order a pizza on the phone.
Just saying, I could do it.
No, you couldn't.
No, you'd get flown the second that gate opened and that bull had a momentum. You wouldn't know what you're doing.
I could hold on.
You would be like dragged on, and then you would get mauled.
You have notoriously bad grip too. That's not good.
I have great grip strength.
No, you don't. You have terrible grip strength.
Anyway, I could do it.
Well, you could. So you can mention that down in the comment section. In the comment section, give us if you think that Tim could actually be on a real bull, like get on one. I mean, he's not the best climber in the world. It's not like when he says he does quote unquote pull-ups at the gym. There's no like resistance weight that gets you onto this.
Yeah, but you can get a step stool to climb on, just like he does his pull-ups with the step stool.
Yeah, I just don't think he has the balance to stand on there. Once it like shimmies a little bit, Cust is gone.
Yeah, once that gate opens, he doesn't even stay on. Like the bull isn't even fully through the gate doors before Tim is off it.
Oh, please.
I would say that you end up with a better chance of a broken neck than standing on it for more than 1 minute or 1 second.
I think I have a pretty good ability to take a fall or whatever, and I'd be okay.
It's one thing to take a fall. It's another thing to get kicked in the head by a bull.
Well, sure, but you make it sound like I would be like thrown off like a rag doll.
You would be.
You're a big boy.
Still ragdolled.
Anyway, I think I could do it.
Okay.
Can't. So yeah, you out there, tell Tim at TimAnderson87 on Twitter what you think about this, and we'll get into number 10 on the list. Dak Prescott comes in at number 10. I found Dak really hard to rank, but it's funny because he's the Cowboys quarterback, he gets all this praise about being really, really good. And like, oh, is Dak one of the 3 best quarterbacks in football? Like, that's what you hear when the Cowboys are running good because it's the Cowboys. But in reality, even when he plays poorly, he's still actually pretty good. It feels like his median is right around here, like 9. I had him number 9 on my list. Cust, he was 8 on your list, and he was 11 on your list. Like, we think you could win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott. I think all 3 of us agree on that.
Definitely. He's a fantastic player. He can make all the throws. He's mobile. He's a very cerebral quarterback. He makes good decisions. I really think he's fantastic.
I feel like I just feel like a lot of the hate comes with, it's not that he is the Dallas Cowboys quarterback. I don't think people inherently, I mean, I'm sure some people do, inherently hate him because of that. But it's like all of the hype that he gets, that he's not actually all that far off of the hype. It's just we've never seen him play really at that level, except when Dallas lost all those games to begin the year. What was it, like 3 years ago? And he was putting up video game numbers. They weren't winning any fucking games.
Yeah, it was almost like the last time we saw Watson, right? Like the Texans were horrible. He was amazing. I like Dak, but I'm the guy here that ranked him the lowest, so I guess I'll take that flag. He is still in that tier. But you're right. He's not that far from maybe being worthy of some of the hype. I think the hype, well, I do believe he's under a lot of pressure this year to sort of, people will want to see him maybe take a step where he's closer to the next tier or even in that next tier. He, like within like another year from now, his contract will be so normal or almost underpaid that all that pressure won't be there. Because when he signed, he was like top of market, and then your top of market price at that position in Dallas, it created this whole atmosphere around him. I feel like it's a lot quieter, as crazy as that sounds, for anything related to Dallas and their quarterback than even last year, which would have been, I guess, off the injury. But yeah, I don't like see me putting him like T6 next year, but he's 11. He barely missed my top 10.
As we found out with quarterback contracts, there really is no bad quarterback contract. If you overpay someone, because 3 years, it'll be like, oh yeah, the salary cap expanded. Now we're going to give more money to quarterback. So that's why when we spoke about like Kyler Murray and even Lamar getting more money than Josh Allen potentially when he signs his contract, that only seems logical with the way that the salary cap goes and quarterback's money keeps going up. It's not Dak's contract that's going to put Dallas into a hole. It's fucking Zeke's contract. That's terrible.
And they got one more year of that, I guess.
So Dak at number 10. At number 9, as we found out as we were recording part 1. So we don't know. Show is going to air a little bit later than we recorded it. So maybe lawsuits have happened, whatever has happened. But Deshaun Watson comes in at number 9. Let's see here. I had him at number 8. Tim had him at number 10, and Geoff, you had him at number 8 as well. As it stands right now, he's going to miss 6 games with the Cleveland Browns, but I think just it's kind of telling how good people think Watson is, myself included, that didn't matter the red flags that were around him, the possible suspension that was looming, the fact that he was on a shitty team and put up good numbers. They really didn't win anything. They had a couple of nice did they make it past the first round and then had that big lead on Kansas City?
They should have been hosting the AFC Championship game if they knew how to hold a lead.
But obviously they didn't. So he hasn't really accomplished a ton. He has as many career playoff wins as Baker does, put it that way. But I think it's indicative of how much they gave up for him and to move on from a number 1 pick who was injured all last year, who had been pretty good the year before that, and to give up that amount of draft capital, that of just everything, and pay him what they paid him. Like, he's a great player. And it's very telling that Cleveland was still able to do that, felt comfortable enough doing that, even if it was going to be a 1-year suspension, because they wanted this guy on their team. And I agree with them. Like, I don't agree with, maybe I wouldn't want him on my team if I was the owner, but I'm starting to think about it. It's like, it's the NFL. Like every team has like 3 guys who are absolutely abhorrent. It doesn't really matter at this point. So I don't know, if you're unscrupulous and you have no morals, why not have Deshaun Watson as your quarterback? He's very good, Tim.
I mean, he was really good a year and a half ago when we last saw him play. And
Michael Vick went to fucking jail for 3 years and came back and was awesome.
Well, it actually took Michael Vick a little time before he started playing again. But I'm sure, but again, Watson was playing at an MVP level. Is he going to return right away and play an MVP level? Probably not. It's going to take him time to sort of get into the groove of things. But it's for 3 years. Like, we're ranking for 3 years, not this year. So one presumes that by the end of 2024, he'll be playing well. I mean, he's incredibly skilled. I think he's on a franchise that gave up too much for him and is trending in the other direction. Their up arrow is now sort of cresting, and they're now sort of on the decline. So they got better at quarterback, you could say, but they're going to get worse at a lot of places, and they just don't have the ability to bring on as much top-tier talent and don't have the draft picks to bring in people to replace that talent. So, I mean, the team is okay. He's, of course, very skilled, but I don't see them doing big things with him, and I don't see him doing big things. Enough to be top 10, but I mean, the league is actually bereft of like elite quarterback play. So that's why he follows in that top 10.
It's funny, Geoff, because if he comes back at like 90% Deshaun Watson, I think Cleveland's like the runaway winner in that division.
Yeah, he's so good. And honestly, I don't know whether I was surprised by the ruling. I guess I expect maybe some action on the other end, but I'm already feeling.
Geoff, he wasn't smoking weed, so he can't be.
I'm already feeling.
He didn't gamble on a game.
He didn't make a terrible.
I'm quickly already feeling like I ranked him too high. Like 8 feels too high.
Why?
For him in a 3-year window. I think if there's anyone inside the top 10 who's going to make the biggest leap down, like close to the top 5 into maybe even top 4, 3, probably this guy. I mean,
yeah,
it's magical.
No, probably not. I mean,
there are question marks, and that's why he's not, 5th on my list right now.
The thing is, like, he can never even be the best QB in his division. Like, that's just how it's going to be. He's very good, but he's getting older. He's not like the youngest quarterback anymore. He missed a year and a half. He's with a new team, and that team can't not stockpile and replace talent when there's injuries or when there's attrition. Like that, the Browns sort of don't have that ability.
And the judge ruled that he's only allowed to get team issued massages.
Is that actually true? I thought that was a joke.
Team approved. I saw it tweeted from somebody like who's not a parody or a joker. Like they're just an actual reporter. Yeah. So, I don't know.
All right. Well, there's Deshaun Watson. He's number 9. Number 8, Russell Wilson. Now with the Denver Broncos. When I originally saw Wilson on Tim's list, I was like, he put Zach Wilson this high? You had Russell Wilson at number 9. I had to put R. Wilson next to that. I was like, it's very high for Zach Wilson. Very ambitious of you, Tim. But you had him at number 9. Jeff, you had him at number 9. I actually had him at number 6. I think this is a great scenario. And Seattle was such a terrible situation for him over the past few years, and how they wanted to run their offense, what they asked him to do, felt not really what I would want Russell Wilson to do as my quarterback. Like, let Russ cook. Let him cook just a little bit. It'd be nice. Let him throw on first down every once in a while. And I think that in the right circumstance, we're going to see sort of a rejuvenation of Russell Wilson. And maybe not the guy that he was 8 years ago, but I still think that he is a top flight, top tier quarterback. And I'm very much in on Russell Wilson. I'm surprised to see him so low on your guys' list.
I mean, I think it's low. I just think he is, 10 years in the league, 11 years in the league. Very good player. Excellent player, but it's a new team. Who knows how he'll adjust?
Yeah, but in our theoretical situation, everyone's on a new team.
No, none of these top tier people are going to be on new teams.
Did you not understand the point of the exercise? It's not Russell Wilson on the Broncos. It's if you had a team and you had to pick your quarterback. Doesn't mean
but I mean, I have to consider how he's going to thrive with the weapons that I know he's going to have. And listen, Denver has a lot of receiving talent. I like him a lot, but just like he's getting older, he has injury issues.
Does he?
And
does he have injury issues?
Yes, he does.
His Iron Man streak broke and now he's injury prone all of a sudden?
No, I didn't say injury prone, just he's had injuries. He's getting older. It is almost certain that it's going to happen more often. I don't know. I really like him. I think he's probably the second best QB in his division. I don't see him ever getting back to top 5 form, which is where he was. I'm not so sure he can get there anymore. There's just too much other top tier talent at the quarterback position. And so it's, while I think the quarterback talent is shallow, the people that are in the top 12 or 13, it's very, very rich. And he doesn't surpass some other people. He just can't.
Jeff,
Tim mentions criteria that we were supposed to ignore. I will argue that criteria probably benefits Russell, or if you actually thought about the situation, it actually benefits him much more than his old one, in the sense of, you mentioned the Pete Carroll stuff, but Nathaniel Hackett, rejuvenate was part of a rejuvenation, or I don't want to call it a rejuvenation, but like a big upkick in, I don't want to call it a big upkick. Aaron Rodgers being from really good to MVP, but it was still, he was part of it. They'll do more things in motion. As a division rival, I'm nervous about it. On the downside, he's just, I don't know, what's the negative? He's just so goddamn corny, but that's not part of the criteria.
Yeah, and
his own jersey to the opening of training camp. On the reality of it, no, I'm going to put air in his tires. Oh no, I want to take some away quickly first. I think people they blame Pete Carroll fully and give Russell a full free pass for not being able to do things at times with really good receivers when he was given opportunities. That being said, I don't know. Tim seemed a little more harsh. I think they'll be fine, and he should be fine. We've seen all these veteran quarterbacks go to new places, even not Hall of Fame. Shit. Really going to put myself in a box. Not former Super Bowl winning ones like Phillip Rivers, even went to a new team for a year, took them to a playoffs. We've seen all these veteran quarterbacks move around and have extreme success, from Brady to Stafford to someone else I'm sure I'm forgetting. It's kind of hard to think Wilson's going to be the peg that ends successful veteran transition.
I
agree.
I just don't understand this age thing with you. He's 33.
So that means I'm getting his 33, 34, 35 years rather than somebody's 24, 25, 26 years. Relatively comparable, if not slightly more talent, and I'm just going to go that way.
So, in your mind, Matt Stafford, who's older than Russell Wilson, is just so much better.
So no, Matt Stafford is a different situation. Matt Stafford, I just think, is right now a better quarterback. When I would rather have.
I think I'd still have. I would rather have Russell Wilson than Matt Stafford. Jeff, what do you think?
I voted differently, but it's all really close. Now it's kind of being framed as being anti-Russell, and
It's not
I
anti-Russell.
had to make a couple jokes.
Wrong with
but
these other guys.
It's anti.
I don't know
Wilson.
if you name my people that I have between like 9 and 6. Like I don't know, they're not much of an arg. Like some people would disagree, but I think they'd all be slotted in like a slot of each other for the most part. But I don't want to insult Russell.
No. Just I want to say I like the quarterbacks above him better. That's all.
Okay, so Russell Wilson was number 8 in the average. Matt Stafford is number 7 in the overall average. I was the one who was the lowest on Stafford. Tim was the highest on Stafford, who is older than Russell Wilson, by the way. But he is the top of this tier of the Cousins and Derek Carr. Like, that's who he is. He's the best version of that type of quarterback. And I don't necessarily...
No, he's in a tier above them, but below like the very best quarterback.
Is he in
Yes,
a tier
he is.
above him? Or
Yes,
was he
he-
on
yes, he is.
was he on the Rams?
No. He was playing fantastically in Detroit for several seasons as well.
Yeah, if he
that.
doesn't go to Detroit and has exactly the same statistical season as he just did with the Rams, you would have him at like number 13 on this list.
I don't think that's true.
See, I could argue this anyway. If you said, Fienberg, you've got to go convince those people over there that Stafford was just a byproduct of his new team and is really no different than he's ever been. Or if you said, Fienberg, you got to go over there and convince those group of people that he is better than Russell Wilson. Like, I could make the argument either way. I don't know. So maybe I'm buying into the recency. He just won the Super Bowl. I clicked him ahead of Russell Wilson. He seemed to adapt quite easily to everything that came their way last year with flying colors.
Yeah, and put into what might be a top 3 offense to go into as a quarterback. If you dump Russell Wilson into that offense, I think they win the Super Bowl as well. Like, when I think about Stafford in terms of maybe he is not the highest of this tier. Joe Burrow might be the highest tier of this player moving forward. But I just don't see any real difference between Stafford now and Stafford 5 years ago, Stafford 3 years ago. He's always just been this guy. And this is what we thought his ceiling could be. And it manifested itself into a Super Bowl last year if given the right tools. I think he's a very good quarterback. I don't want to talk down about Matt Stafford, almost like you guys were saying about Russell Wilson. You don't want to talk down to Russell Wilson. It's just, I just think there are better quarterbacks that if it was my team and I could have any quarterback to choose from, he wouldn't be in my top 10. He'd be number 11.
And you're probably right. Like if in a bad situation,
No, I don't think he is right.
No, but if in a bad situation, I would rather like Russell could probably do more with like true garbage than probably Matt Stafford would. But I don't know. I maybe I could see myself have fallen onto some recency there, but it's just splitting hairs in that tier.
Well, they're two completely different styles of quarterback. So I think it shows what I value a little bit more than what you guys value.
I guess, but I mean, who have we seen been more successful recently? It has been Stafford. I think Stafford's style of QB, or for that matter, Burrow's style of QB, is like the most perfect style you can have. So.
I completely disagree. I don't think it is the most perfect style that you can have in today's NFL.
I think that is today's NFL. They embody what today's NFL is.
Okay.
Now, not surprisingly, those two faced each other in the Super Bowl. That wasn't an accident.
So your entire analysis is just based on what happened last season's playoffs.
No, but look at the last several Super Bowls and the types of QBs that are winning them. And
Tom Brady versus
Mahomes.
Now, Mahomes is different. Mahomes is probably the most talented person to have ever played the position in the history of time. So he's sort of like sui generis, but he is. Like, I mean...
All right, well, let's move on to number 6. And we had a bigger conversation about him in part 1, which is probably unfair to him because Lamar Jackson comes in at number 6. I still do think he has the most question marks based on what his overall capability of winning a Super Bowl is, just because we've seen him fail in the playoffs when he's gotten there. But I don't think that anyone's really going to argue with the overall upside. I had him at number 7. Tim, you had him at number 4. And Jeff, you had him at number 6. That made him number 6 on our list. I think that he's sort of a bridge. Like, there's the top 5 guys, There's Lamar, and then there's kind of like I would still prefer in the next 3 years to have Russell Wilson over Lamar Jackson. I could be dead wrong about that. I would just feel more comfortable with Russell Wilson. But looking at our overall rankings, I feel like Lamar is just a complete on his own island between the top 5 and the rest of the list.
I very much, I think, disagree with that Lamar versus Russell assessment, but I don't want to turn it into that. I don't know. Lamar to me is magical. I'm not there with the hate, like that he can't win in the playoffs. So many great quarterbacks took so many lumps in the playoffs before you won, like in your moment A. You were allowed to take some lumps. He's probably taken 1 or 2 more than people have wanted him to at this point. 0-4. It's bad, but I don't know. I'm an apologist for players I like, and I'm going to be an apologist for him here to say it's still, the jury's still out on that, and the ceiling is beyond incredible.
I guess I don't know. I think I'm being clouded by the playoff performances that I've seen. In year one.
He does have a win, He does have a win.
Oh, yeah, the Titans. I did forget because Vrabel is a poos moose, but yes, it is a good win. I bet them, I think.
Yeah, was that when Vrabel wouldn't go it on the 4th down?
Yeah. And it's like the one, all year.
The other thing,
that
was also the game where Jackson took it 55 yards to the house.
Incredible.
Yeah, so
on the road, right?
I guess the difference here is like his game-breaking ability can come in so many different ways versus the quarterbacks that are both behind him and ahead of him. Like Russell Wilson's not taking off for a 55-yard touchdown. That's not happening. But if you have some sort of contain on Lamar running and you force him into the pocket, I mean, that's taking away his greatest weapon. The fact that you can be confused about what Lamar Jackson is up to, and it leaves guys open just completely down the field. I don't really think that we've seen peak Lamar in the passing game because I feel like outside of Andrews, who has he really had in terms of like elite style receivers? Like everyone wants to hype up Hollywood Brown now that he's in Arizona, but like Hollywood Brown's okay. Maybe Bateman is going to be the guy for him. And if you just inserted him into the Rams offense, that all of a sudden with those weapons, he would be amazing as well. I don't know. I would think that they would be very successful because I think that you can't have the same style of offense as most of these quarterbacks if you want to maximize what he does well. The issue is, and maybe this is completely unfair to Lamar, is that it just feels like his ability to, you say like you're worried about Russell Wilson's being injury prone, just Lamar leaves himself open to being injured. Not that he is more injury prone or gets injured more. It's just like, you see some of the hits, you see some of the contact, you're like, that's not exactly what I want from my quarterback to be taking those hits.
I agree with all of that.
And the biggest indictment on Lamar, and when the people like you see where he's really disrespected in some of these rankings, it's simple. Like if like 3rd and long, if you can't excel in the 3rd and obvious passing, there's some guys that just don't give a shit what else you do if you're the quarterback. Like it doesn't matter how good the other stuff is. If 3rd and long, 3rd and obvious, like the next 5 guys we're going to name can handle.
Yeah, but the difference is, I mean, people put a lot of stock into the 3rd and long situations. Can you complete that 3rd and 13 on a button out that's 13 and a half yards to get you the first
when
down?
The defense knows it's coming.
Obviously very important. I think that the counter to that with Lamar Jackson is he finds himself in very few 3 and 13 situations. Like that's one of his benefits as a quarterback. There's just a lot of 3rd and 4s. And when it's 3rd and 4 and you have Lamar Jackson, and it's not a wide open pass, he's just going to get a first down by running it.
That's it. The Ravens' approach to football, which is like a hybrid of really throwback and really like sort of almost modern, is that they run it so often that you don't really get a lot of 3rd and longs because they're not throwing a lot of first downs.
And their ability to be aggressive on 4th down especially is predicated on Lamar. Like if you're in a 4th and 2 and a 4th and 1, you can go for it because he's probably going to get it.
That's right. 100%. Right. They're playing under different parameters. It's like CFL parameters where like 8.5 yards is technically just all you need, right? Because they have the weird 3rd down yard off a ball.
Yeah, no, that's right. Like when you are going to use your full complement of downs all the time, it allows you to be more creative and take more risks, knowing that you can mess up a down and you're no worse off than the team that only plays with 3 downs. I agree. I think the reason I still have Jackson above those fellows is that, like, because he is so different than the other quarterbacks you face, it's a taxing challenge on a defense to prepare and to be vigilant and to be on top of that down after down after down when you never see it otherwise. He just, it almost is like the way that certain teams in college football thrive because they run offenses you just never see. Lamar is that same way because it's just a difficult thing to prepare for, that it just can wear you down and you can mess up because you're just not disciplined enough because you're not used to facing that type of offense down after down after down. So I just think that he brings to the table a different set of cards than anybody else does, and that's the way I view.
I guess the issue would be, and it kind of boils down to it, I've seen him do it, so I know he can do it. It's just in that pressure cook situation when there's a minute 30 left on the clock and everyone knows that you're passing, I feel the least confident with him of like these top 10 guys because his skill set is different.
That is kind of fair. He's not built to go down the field in a minute despite being able to do that. Like,
I agree.
The possession wouldn't have changed 3 times like the end of Bills Chiefs if the Ravens are in the game.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. But if that was our prime criteria, then Brady would be first.
Sure. No, I understand that, but I think there's all different factors to this. I just feel the least confident with him. Like if you give me Wilson versus Lamar in that situation, I want Russell Wilson.
Sure.
I mean, but I'm higher on Russell Wilson. I would take Matt Stafford in that one particular situation of, hey, I need to throw the ball 50 yards down the field on a rope to a guy who's completely covered. It's just once you take away the element of that, that Lamar is not going to run, and you can drop everyone into pass coverage, like the game becomes harder for him because that's just not a part
But if it's a fourth and 4, I might take Lamar over just about any quarterback.
And look, I there's a couple that, I would take Josh Allen ahead of him in that situation because they kind of do the same.
I said
thing. Might, but I agree with you. That's where Lamar's value gets boosted in my mind, is that he doesn't leave you in a lot of those situations. And if there is the ability to run, he's just so dangerous because you don't know what's coming at you.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he's not immune to in these like late game situations that he drops back to pass, everyone drops back into coverage, he just fucking takes off for 35 yards and gets out of bounds. There is that, like I've seen him do that. So I know that's on the table too, which is maybe an unfair criticism by me about what I want traditionally from a quarterback in a 2-minute drill, like the Bradys of the world. Like you mentioned, like he's the best at it. But he can reserve the clock. He can get you to exactly where you need to get to. Lamar might just have to figure out how to do it in a different way because he's not Tom Brady.
No, that's right. Although Lamar needs to get it less far than other people because he is a kicker who can make it from 65 and so runs that different.
Yeah, well, let's live in a world where he doesn't have Justin Tucker. He has whoever he has Danny Amendola, the Jets kicker.
Well, the guy, at least he wasn't carried off the field. One of the great carry-off moments in sports history.
Oh yes, the MVP of the Jets.
We carried the Jets kicker off the field.
Number 5, Justin Herbert, Jeff. Someone was not very high on Justin Herbert, and it wasn't you.
No. I guess it wasn't me, no.
I had him at number 4. You had him at number 3. Tim had him at number 7 on this list. Rather have Matt Stafford than Justin Herbert, which I do not agree with.
For the next 3 seasons?
I think that
Herbert are all very close.
Herbert is Matt Stafford, except he has mobility. And as Jeff said, he tells people to bring their grocery carts back to the stall.
Yeah, he's a guy. Yeah,
he's a good
guy. I'm not going to bash Justin Herbert. I think Justin Herbert's a marvelous player. I have nothing mean to say about him. I just don't think he's quite yet as good after 2 years as Matt Stafford is currently. I don't think he's quite as good as Mahomes. I don't think he's quite as good as Burrow. I don't think he's quite as good as even Jackson, who's won an MVP. That's incredibly high praise. That is like putting up the very best and saying you're not there yet. You haven't quite through these 2 seasons.
I would argue you probably have him ranked at his absolute floor of where people would rank him in this exercise.
I would agree.
Well, that's fair. But saying you're the 7th best QB is not being mean in any way.
And yet, listen, you're going to hold things against him that probably aren't his fault. I would say there'll be plenty of room from your rank. There's very little to move from my ranking of 3. Because, who's in ahead of him, I honestly don't even see him being ahead of at the end of the year. Even if I do have an 11-1 MVP future. That's irrelevant. But this is the first time since high school he's going to play in the second offense in back-to-back years. It's so crazy to think every year it's just been a new learning thing for him. I think he'll be far more comfortable at the line of scrimmage. A lot of that pre-snap stuff that got the Chargers last year is not going to happen now. I don't know. I think the sky is the limit. To have won the lottery in the draft, to hit a pick like that, or have it fall to you however you want. That's all you can ask for. I'm super hyped up. The only negative about Justin Herbert, I think you could say, is will Joe Lombardi and Brandon Staley allow him to extend the field on first down? Because that seems to be something they haven't figured out yet. Joe Lombardi's got to realize this ain't Drew Brees. And I'm not saying Herbert is better than Drew Brees. It's kind of a ridiculous statement. But I'm saying you don't need to design like the 9-yard passing routes like you would for Drew Brees and think you're stretching the field. You can stretch that son of a bitch from go.
I think that Herbert is the closest thing to Andrew Luck since Andrew Luck retired. That would be my comp for Justin Herbert. And that would be a top 5 quarterback for me.
Yeah. Respect.
He could definitely get there. Definitely. I think he's got a little room to grow. But if he continues to flourish this season and we see progress, then yeah, of course he hits the top 5.
And I'll be honest, I had him for me, him and Burrow are essentially tied in a 3-4.
I prefer him to Burrow.
Yeah, I that's, Tim put out a poll. I think if you polled people, they'd finish within 2.5 points of each other. Like, I think the consensus should have them neck and neck. Obviously I'm biased, so I'm going to put them ahead of Burrow, but like 3-4 is exactly where I have them, and you could order them however you want. I don't want to be insulted by Tim's 7, but Tim can throw shade at this year's Chargers. He's gonna. And ranking Herbert 7, as I said, is the maximum floor. Like, the building doesn't get any. You'll hit what do you call that? Like the molten rock. If you make one more dig on this ranking. But I don't need we got 18 weeks for me to gush and glow about this guy.
I just feel like with your ranking at number 7, Tim, that even if he has the year that he had last year, he's still 7. Like 7, as Geoff said.
He can hop the ranks. He can hop the ranks.
He's done more in his first 2 years than anyone ever.
Sure, but
and I know the game and the styles are changing, but
I'm not quite ready to put him ahead of Aaron Rodgers. I'm not quite ready to put him ahead of. He can go from 7 to 4 or 5. He definitely can.
Let's get to, because I think this is your most insane ranking that you have up here, and you might turn out to be correct about this. But Joe Burrow's number 4. You had him at number 2. That seems crazy.
There's outside of Mahomes, there's just nobody I'd rather have. The guy went first overall after having the best season in college history. His first, and is in his entire healthy first season. He takes the Bengals to win a division, which they hadn't done in 15 years. He lights up the playoffs. He has it, which you cannot quantify. You can't rate. He has it.
He does.
He's got that winning swagger that you can't fake, you can't borrow, and you can't buy. He just has it.
Where did you have him, Pat?
Brady has it too, by the way. Some guys just have it. Now, you don't need it to succeed, by the way. Like, I don't think Peyton Manning had that, but Peyton Manning would still thrive despite that. But Burrow has it. And you can't take that away from him. He just is going to make the throw. He's going to beat you. He's going to make that pass when healthy. He's going to maximize that opportunity. He's just, he's just amazing. He's everything a first overall quarterback should be when you decide to take a QB first overall.
I just don't see how your case against Herbert be like, oh, he has room to grow. We haven't seen it yet. And you're like, Burrow's better than Josh Allen.
Burrow just went to the Super Bowl.
That's fine.
He just took
Jared Goff went to the fucking Super Bowl.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, but no one said Jared Goff put that team on his shoulders and did that.
But the rate, like, the Bengals went to the Super Bowl because, listen, they went to the Super Bowl. So I can't take that away. The Raiders gave them a football game. Ryan Tannehill gave them a football game. The Chiefs had this like epic drop.
They beat the Chiefs twice. They beat the Chiefs twice in within a 6-week span. Like they took
But what
everybody's
the-
best punch.
Hold on, the Chargers beat the Chiefs and then lose to them in overtime. That's like a nose hair.
Sure, I'm not.
No, I don't want to do. You're right. No, like I love Joe Burrow too. I had him 4. You have him 2.
I had him 5.
We're in
Burrow,
the same
like Burrow
place.
just has that swagger factor.
I agree too. And if it's like a talent thing, you're probably right. Like, not to say the Super Bowls will be there for any of them. You hope,
No,
God
no.
willing. But it does feel like Herbert has more of that Manning talent. Well, Burrow has this, like, I'm Brady and I'm just going to win all the time sort of like
Yes.
career. And I'll take Watt. Like, I'm so desperate for one that, like,
Oh, sure.
I would just take the deal now. Yeah, I'd take the deal for my quarterback to be Peyton Manning. I mean, just one Super Bowl. Just take the deal and I'd go home.
Yeah. I think those are pretty good comps, actually.
I just think it's
Like,
insane that you
Peyton
have
Manning was a more talented quarterback in some ways, in a lot of ways, but he wasn't a better quarterback, not a more successful one.
I think you would be very hard pressed for people to come up with any sort of top 10 list of like best QBs right now and not have Mahomes and Josh Allen one too.
I mean, Mahomes won, sure, but no. I mean, I think there's still something to be proved from Allen, in my opinion. In my opinion, I mean, am I supposed to come in here and utter your opinion? Like, this is what I think.
I mean, you have it. Yeah, I mean, we'll get to Josh Allen in a second because he still ended up number 2 overall, even with you
Sure.
ranking him at 6. That leaves number.
Stop.
I did.
Fucking animal, Tim.
Well, I had Stafford and
6?
Jackson ahead. I had Stafford Jackson ahead of him.
Based on what criteria?
I don't know. Both being quarterbacks I would rather have.
You'd rather have Lamar Jackson than Josh Allen. Didn't you run this poll and
mean-
like 95% of people picked Josh Allen?
I think we did run that, and I mean, Josh Allen has been just as flaky in the playoffs as Jackson has been.
Oh, wow. You're still holding that like backwards pass 4 years ago against the Texans against
Or
them,
being a
aren't
bad
you?
game manager and not being able to manage the clock against the Chiefs and not beating them in that game. I don't know. What do you want me to do? Like, what do
I
you
want you to say nothing bad and rank him second.
I was going to say,
Again,
is it really bad clock management when you leave 13 seconds to go the entire field for the Chiefs?
against Mahomes? Yes. I mean, the answer to that question, by the way, is yes, because they didn't win the game.
I don't think you
I
need to
love
base
you.
everything you do. You're a results-based type of person, not what technically should happen in that situation. I don't see how Josh Allen scoring in like the 14 seconds is a reflection on him when the defense.
No.
gives it-
Look, we're going to talk about Josh. My criticisms of him is that I still don't think he's nearly as accurate. We saw less accuracy last season than the year before, and I
Oh,
anticipate.
you're projecting like a 20-point drop because Dabo's gone?
I think not having Daboll is a huge factor, and I think we're going to see more Josh Allen circa his rookie season and what he
Rookie
was in college.
season.
What are you
And what we saw
talking
in
about?
college in terms of his passing percentage.
So he's going to be.
I mean, that's the likeliest outcome.
Why is that the likeliest outcome? Not what he's done the
Because
past
people
3 years.
very rarely. Well, last year he was actually less accurate than he was the year before.
Yeah.
so.
And what was his accuracy?
Yeah, because he made the biggest jump ever.
And then we saw some regression. I mean, again, having someone at 6 is not an insult. That means they're
No, this is an
amazing
insult.
quarterback.
This
is an
is
insult.
very insulting.
This is an
Okay,
insult.
sure. Oh, yes, I know.
Keep-
Because if you don't say anything nice, everything nice about the Buffalo Bills, you've somehow committed a crime. You have to apologize for.
I
Well,
thought
don't think
Herbert
this
was an
Bills team-
insult. This is so much
I
more
don't think this Bills
egregious.
team is all that talented. I don't think Allen is nearly as good as people say. And like when they don't even win their division this year because the Patriots do, what are they going to talk about then?
I agree, Tim. Keep talking about it. These guys, I don't feel disrespected.
Soft.
I think you're right on the
It's a
money.
soft team. I
Very
was right about that
soft.
last year in the end.
We're a soft
Soft
panel.
team.
We're offended, right? We're
They're
soft.
They're a soft team, and their quarterback is not nearly. I mean, he's obviously excellent.
Is
He's
he?
an excellent quarterback. No, he's excellent. If
Very-
you're the
according-
sixth best quarterback in the NFL,
According to
you're
you,
an
he's
excellent
according to you,
quarterback.
he's not as good as Matt Stafford.
He can. Matt Stafford just won the Super Bowl
Who
and played amazingly.
cares?
Oh yeah, who cares? Thank
No,
you.
I kind of mean that. In this instance, who cares?
I do. I'm looking at this as like, who can I win a Super Bowl with? Now, yes, you can definitely win one with Josh Allen, but I like my odds better with Stafford than I do Allen. I prefer.
I like
a
Stafford more because he just holed out from 130 yards.
No,
but
it's not the
instead
same. That's
of-
not the same thing at all.
No,
Yeah, you know what?
that's
not the
Yes,
same thing at
I think
all.
I actually think that's a really
That's
good comp,
silly.
a golf comp. 2 guys stand 130 yards from the ball. One guy spins it back and it goes to a foot. Exactly what he's trying to do. The other guy hits sort of, a decent shot at the hole. It bounces twice and just drops in the hole. One of them is pure skill. The other one is just kind of lucky. It's a good shot, obviously, in order to do it, but you didn't expect it to go in. It just went in.
Look, I'm not gonna bash Josh Allen. He's a great quarterback.
You just said he was soft.
Well, he is kind of soft, but that's okay. You can be a soft quarterback and still do well. Like Tom Brady's soft. He's the most successful quarterback of all time.
Is Tom Brady soft?
Yes, he's soft. He could never take criticisms. Anytime he got a single hit, he would whine and complain.
I would say soft, and there are a lot of missing handshakes from his loss.
Well, that too. But being soft doesn't mean you're not an amazing QB. You can still be amazing QB and be soft.
Well, Burrow is number 4. Herbert is number 5. Number 3, I think this was a consensus. No, Geoff was lower on him, is Aaron Rodgers. I don't really know.
Why do you hate Aaron Rodgers, Geoff?
Yeah. For 3 years.
What did he do to you?
I mean, you both have Burrow ranked ahead of Rodgers, which I think is pretty insane, but okay.
I think I'm only getting 2 Rodgers years, not 3.
Yeah, but
I mean, there's
uncertain. But you're getting if it was 3, the problem with Brady, as a part of this exercise, Brady is playing the 3 years. It's just what does Brady look like in year 3 at age 48 or something like that? If Rodgers plays 3 more years, Rodgers is gonna be great for 3 more years.
Probably, but so are the other 2 quarterbacks I have ahead of them. To be fair.
I mean, I guess the debate for me is I put both Herbert and Burrow in 3-4 with Rodgers 5.
I can get behind that, Geoff. I didn't do that, but I could have totally moved Rodgers down.
I don't know. There's just, you're right. Maybe I should be ignoring all the weirdness of
that's
Aaron
what. That's
Rodgers.
all it is. It's all. Aaron Rodgers has a real bad press, and that's why he's the back-to-back. He's the back-to-back MVP.
Yeah, but it's a 3-year thing, and he's up there. And it's I don't know, for the next 3 years, I think he'll get slightly worse, and in relative where he'll fall. If it was a 1-year thing, he's probably 2 or 3. In the 3-year thing, I put him 5, and I put these 2 generational, what I hope, kids that are going into year 3. One of them's already been to the Super Bowl. I'm just trying to read that they follow their trages.
And Geoff has a Minnesota Vikings future this season, which,
No, I didn't even think about Rodgers. I don't even think they're winning I just think there's room for teams to sneak in, mediocre teams in playoff spots, aplenty in the NFC.
I agree with you, Geoff. I wish I'd had the guts to move Rodgers down. I didn't, but I kind of I respect your call. I really do.
If you ever saw,
I love Aaron Rodgers.
If you noticed,
I hope this doesn't.
If you noticed any zip off his ball, I could see it. But I just don't see any attrition from his actual play.
Okay, that's fair. I don't know.
So you're projecting
playoffs.
You're projecting. I mean, am I holding playoffs against Lamar or not Aaron Rodgers, a guy who's won the Super Bowl? No, I'm not.
I mean,
that's why I stopped the sentence.
Well, yeah, but if we look at their career, probably there's been no more disappointing playoff QB in their life than Aaron Rodgers. Talent and his opportunities.
I agree with you, but that's only because everyone holds Aaron Rodgers in such high regard. I mean, Mahomes is doing the same thing.
Yeah, this is probably a stupid
Mahomes
thing.
may get there, but Rodgers scored 10 points as the MVP at home against San Francisco last season. We don't even have to go any further than that.
I disagree with that, because if you just say that all of a sudden he doesn't play for the Green Bay Packers, he has exactly the same team and he plays in New Orleans and they play in a dome in the NFC Championship game. I think some of his offensive struggles, because, they're not super high scoring games. The one where Kaepernick blew him out, I was stunned by. And that was just a great scheme from Harbaugh and the 49ers that year. But a lot of these very late in the season type games that you play in the NFC with the teams that have been good in the NFC, that in these cold weather games, defense matters a lot in that type of situation. And the team with the better defense when the offense is down is going to end up doing well. He's had some real stinkers in the playoffs. I'm not going to try to sit here and justify that. Yeah. He's also had great games in the playoffs too. And he's won a Super Bowl. And he's the back-to-back MVP.
Yeah,
he hasn't had very many. He hasn't had a lot of great playoff games, if you're being honest. There's been a couple, but not too many. Not too many.
I got not a bad word.
Okay. I'm the one who had him at 3 with Tim. It's Geoff who's down on him.
Yeah, I don't even want to say down. It's maybe more like the year 3 part of the 3-year.
I respect.
ranking,
No. Look,
guess.
I respect Jeff's position completely.
I don't know if that's a good thing, but
No.
thank you, Tim.
Number 2 is the softest quarterback in the NFL, Josh Allen. According to Tim, Bills Mafia, hashtag Bills Mafia should rightfully be all over you. I have him at 2. Jeff
Why
has
would
him
they?
at 2.
They want me to say bad things. They want me to say bad
and
things. about
Cust,
Josh
will you shut the fuck up as I go through the intro? Do you want to host the show again? Oh, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Say bad things about Josh.
Allen. No, I've said what I had to say about
No,
Josh.
you're hosting the show, by the way. Instead of cutting me off, you can
Okay.
just host.
I don't want to.
Do it. No, you want to talk?
I don't-
Talk.
I don't-
Talk.
no, I don't want
talk.
to.
Talk. Go ahead. Or should I start
You aren't
talking
gonna-
and then you can cut me off? Would that be more palatable to you? Are you more comfortable with that?
Yes.
I had him at 2. Jeff had him at 2, and you have him at 6. It's so low. It's so low. And he's going to go back to being a 50% passer, according to you?
No, but I had just told you I have 5 quarterbacks ahead of him I like a little better. I think between like 3 and 8, if I wake up on the certain side of the bed one morning, I might mix them all up.
Wow. What do you
I
think?
don't see a huge
what,
gap.
what do you think, Jeff? Do you think he's a bit
I
insane
said
on this one?
It's insulting. Like, it's hard to like Tim's trying to pull this. I've got him as the 6th best QB. That's not insulting. It's actually hyper insulting to have ranked Josh Allen 6.
No, it's not. No, it's not. What has he done? What has he won? What has he accomplished?
Tom Brady took every Super Bowl. Like, there's not like there's these like Super Bowls for everybody, man.
What has he
He
accomplished?
lost a game to Patrick Mahomes that you think he did something wrong.
And threw another game away in the playoffs. And like he's fine. He's not fine. He's beyond fine. He's a
This
he's
is
a
you.
remarkably good quarterback.
No. Like, because you called Jake Fromm the best quarterback on the
No,
Bills
no.
roster. This is you. Like, you've got, like, I said 7 was Herbert's floor. You've gone past Allen's floor on any sane ranking.
Okay. Well, again, I'm not here to rank according to what other people think it should be. That wouldn't be interesting. I'm here to rank based on what I believe.
I mean, if you really want to say, like, what has he done and hasn't got there, he's lost to the quarterback we all have ranked number 1 on our list twice in the past 2 years. That's what's ended the Bills
Sure.
season. The team that matches the most up with them the best. Because they do quarterback better than the Bills do.
I think he's really good. If you told me, I mean, I could have flipped him to 5 over Stafford, but like that would have been the highest, and I did debate that, him or Stafford, because I think Jackson does something that Jackson's skill set and particular way he plays football, and a former MVP, has just hit higher levels than Allen has hit, or is probably gonna hit.
Has he though? Has he hit higher levels?
Yeah,
I mean,
Jackson's
how many
MVP.
AFC Championship games has
I
Lamar
would take
Jackson been to?
Jackson's best season is better than Allen's best season so far that we've seen.
Yeah, but that was in 2019. It was 3 years ago, and he hasn't
Okay,
come close to
but
matching.
still-
But he hasn't come close to matching that season ever again.
And you're a well-known sort of skeptic of Lamar Jackson, and I get that. And look, they played each other in the playoffs, and though there weren't many points scored at all, Allen's team prevailed 2 years ago. That's all very true. But when the rubber meets the road, I like Josh. I like Josh Allen a lot. He's obviously better than anybody thought he was going to be. 6th overall is not insulting at all, and there's room to grow. There's absolutely room to grow.
Yeah, but
can get all the way to
all
2
the
here.
room to grow that you're talking about with Herbert and Burrow, Allen's already done that.
Well, no, he
Based
hasn't.
on his numbers and his performance, he's already taken that leap. The one that
I mean,
you
I
want
kind
them
of
to
regret. I almost regret putting Herbert below Allen. I could have put Herbert ahead of Allen. That would have been reasonable. Because I don't like Allen's style. He's Allen's
Truculence.
his running style is not conducive to long-term success in the pros. In a way that Herbert is mobile, but not nearly as
What
mobile.
about Lamar?
Or
Yeah, well, you can't be
Lamar
high on
again-
Lamar. You can't be high on Lamar for that reason and say no to Josh Allen, who's
Lamar
who's
can-
way bigger.
But Lamar is way better at what he's doing than Jack.
Well, it's also a different type
better
of
running.
but it's also a different type of running. Like
Yes,
Josh
it's
Allen,
hard to compare them.
Josh Allen can body you. Lamar can't.
Yeah,
I'd actually
that
rather
is
the
not
Bills on 4th and 2 than the Ravens.
him bodying you is not conducive to a quarterback being around and in good shape 3 years from now. We haven't seen it. We have not seen it in the history of the NFL. And maybe he will replicate something that's never been, or not replicate. Maybe he'll produce something that's never happened before, but I doubt it.
I don't think that you've ever seen a quarterback with that style at this size. I really don't think you've
When
seen
Buffalo gets in tough, they need him to run. That's what they need from him. That's what they did last year. They had him run a ton when they needed him, when the chips were down. That is not a strategy you can employ and keep a quarterback healthy historically. It's just is not the way you can win in the NFL. The way in long term, you can win, of course, in a season, but the way to win in the NFL is to have a QB who's mostly pocket prone, but can get out when he needs to, who runs second, never first, or even equal, whose first and foremost talent is the throw, that you're not too concerned about his running. In fact, it's more important that he can just avoid tackles in the pocket rather than break it down.
If that's the case, you've made your point against Lamar and Josh Allen, who's the better passer.
But Lamar does this thing better than anyone else could possibly do it. Jackson is so much better at what he does. Like
you just made Josh Allen your absolute prototype quarterback, by the way.
Yeah.
No, because when the Bills, when the
the
Bills are in trouble, they need him just to run. That's what they need from him. He just run a lot. They basically become a single wing offense. They have to be.
That's not true.
Like
by the
talking
way,
about like the snow.
Like, are you talking about that like 3-0 game when like the wind was 80 miles per hour?
I disagree with that assessment. That
like I don't think our conversation. I don't think this conversation is going to be any more fruitful.
Well, it's not, because what you're saying is absolutely.
Disagree.
There are very few designed runs for Josh Allen. It just doesn't happen. He shakes a tackle, rolls out, sees what's downfield, and usually, because they have to respect his arm so much, there's like a 15-yard running lane for him, so he takes it.
He's a very good player.
It's a lot like shut up. It's a lot like Aaron Rodgers used to be. He doesn't run as much anymore, and Russell Wilson used to be exactly the same way. They'd shimmy in the pocket, they'd get guys downfield, and the defense would have to respect their arm, and then all of a sudden, there's just daylight in front of them and they can take off. That's more what Josh Allen does.
Great. Josh Allen's really good. The other QBs are just better. I'd rather have them.
Yeah, all these skill sets that don't mean as much that Josh Allen has. They just mean more with other quarterbacks, though.
He's going to be dominating that division.
Again, you're misrepresenting my argument. And no fair reader or listener will
Geoff, didn't it sound like he described, like when he was describing Josh Allen, everything he doesn't like about it, it's every reason he likes Lamar Jackson?
It was very weird.
Lamar does it all
very
better.
Weird.
But yeah.
I think you're on to something there, Tim. I think you're on to something.
I knew you would feel this way, Paul.
Yeah.
And that leaves number one. Should be no surprise. Are we overrating Patrick Mahomes? I'll throw that out there.
I think there's some underrating. I think there's some crazy lists that have him not,
agreed.
number one or totally disrespect. I think it's his show. Like even with, there's going to be a whole second act there too, specifically talking about the team. Oh, no, he's too good. He's the best.
No one has ever had more skill in our lifetime or even in the history of the NFL and played the quarterback position than Patrick Mahomes. That's just
it is like such a compliment. All you want is if you get a young quarterback and someone can say like, oh, there's like a hint of Mahomesian talent. Like anything that like somewhat resembles him is worth chasing in a draft sense.
He should be the MVP every year, but isn't, because like LeBron James, you can't give it to him every season.
Yeah, like Michael Jordan, you had to watch other guys get the trophy.
He is simply the most valuable player, but you can't give it to him every year unless he's hurt. You can't give it to him because it's just not interesting, but he's always the best player.
I agree. Yeah. I'm curious to see how this season goes. Maybe we'll have a different conversation this time next year if like the Chiefs just aren't all that good.
And the Chiefs will take a bit of a step back. They lost their best receiver. They are not as talented as they were a year ago, and they're in a far more talented division than they were a year ago.
In a way, when they were sloppy last year, there was no one in the division good enough to really get out in front.
Exactly.
I mean, they could be sloppy in September in like typical Chiefs form, and people will be asking questions. I honestly have no doubt that when the important games start, they're going to be right there.
Also, they don't need to be an Arrowhead to win playoff games. Like I would be just really. Let's say the Chargers did win the division, and you had the Chiefs coming in the first round.
Oh yeah, no one would be afraid. No, like the Bills.
Exactly.
Like, there's no team that would be afraid of having to go to the Chargers. I mean, like a good fan base like the Chiefs would just fill their stadium. That's.
I just don't think that. Yeah, exactly. The Chiefs could stumble, and they have a pretty tricky schedule to start, and they could very well end up being a wild card because of it. Although I don't think they're going to be. I think they're going to win the division. But even
if they're a
don't,
wild card, no one's going to be like, God forbid, we have to play the Chiefs.
This is the thing, right? This is the thing.
I don't know. I actually think there's such high disrespect. I don't want to say high disrespect, but I don't think they're going to miss a beat. I think the player they lost was a bit overrated, to be perfectly honest.
Well, we'll get a lot of questions answered with that. It's almost like when we talked about Tua. I don't know if the three of us talked about it together, but Tua's in like the ultimate no-win situation. If he's good, it's had nothing to do with him. It's the offensive line and the skill possession players they brought in. And if they're not good, it can only be his fault. Like he's in a legit no-win situation.
I don't think that's true. If he puts up really good numbers,
what will you say? What will you say? Will you give him credit
if he plays really well?
You were just at you got sent a video earlier today, and you were mocking.
And I said it was a great throw.
You were mocking his arm strength, and then giving him. It wasn't a slant. It was like it was what 50 yards up in the air.
There are several Tua videos in that thread every day now. But
because you keep posting them, you keep posting them saying like, "Oh, he's only throwing it 20 yards, and it's like a 55-yard in the air pass." And then you're saying Zach Wilson, no quarterback can make that throw. It's like a 35-yard fade.
If he plays well and puts up good numbers,
we won't hear it. I know he lives rent free in your head. But Jeff, Jeff, do you agree that he's really in a no-win situation?
No, I feel the same way about him.
I do agree in the sense that if the Dolphins are good. Like the Dolphins are good. They have a good team. They have a good season. He's still going to be, and they don't.
Oh, like please. He was getting credit for
Rodgers wants to go somewhere else next year. Like he's allowed to or something. He can go maybe to Mayo. Like they'll be looking to upgrade him even if they play well. I do agree with what Pat is saying. Or there's a high probability that they win 10 games and they still look at quarterback as their weakness, I think is kind of what Pat's saying.
Oh, please. He was getting credit for all the wins they were putting together last year when they had nothing to do with him at all.
That is absolutely not true.
Oh, people were saying Tua's playing great. Tua's got second half MVP vibes. I saw it all on the Reddit.
Find it. Find the fucking receipts for that. I dare you.
It's all over.
There were some insane like completion numbers that people were like drooling over. But
no one was drooling over it. The entire narrative around Tua when they were winning those games, Jeff, was he's not playing as bad as you think he is. That's not saying he's the second half MVP.
We had that person come on the show and give the video who just picked every game of Dolphins win just because Tua was playing so well.
Buddy, you're still falling for that?
There's nothing to fall for. The person was being genuine.
He wasn't mocking you now?
No, I don't think so. I mocked enough that I think I know when I'm being mocked.
See, if you don't think that was mocking you, pal, I think you need to get a case of the common senses.
Like that was just right. He like that was through the front door mocking. Like that's how open the mocking was. He came in through the front door to mock you.
Yeah,
there's no like trick.
Essentially, he just copied what you said about the Jets and replaced Jets with Dolphins and read it. And you're like, oh my God, see how crazy people are? Not knowing that's you.
I don't agree.
Okay. Those are the top 15 quarterbacks. Who do you think we are most likely to be wrong about, Jeff? That we didn't have on the list. What quarterback we don't have on the list of any of our personal lists do you think we have next year we're like, holy shit, that guy's number 6?
Well, only because Tim put it on, it doesn't even count, and I think it was the last. I'm going to just cheat and say Zach Wilson because there's a ceiling. There's a ceiling that there could be a huge boom. And as much as I want to shit on things and have fun with making fun of Tim, I see not fully what he sees, but I see like huge chunks of what Tim sees there.
Just like when you were like, man, that's Sam Darnold. What ceiling?
Agreed. I was tricked by some ceiling.
His number one ceiling play was being first in line at the pizza buffet and going back for
he's still
tenths.
only like 26. He's still only like 26.
So who do you think it is, Tim, for you?
Kyler Murray. I mean, look, if he stays healthy and plays really well, he could that Cardinals team could win like 12 or 13 games and he could have a fantastic season. So I guess
the guy you egregiously omitted is going to be the guy most likely to make your list next year.
Yeah, but you had to have Ryan Tannehill on the list, Jeff.
You asked me the question as to who I didn't rank. Do I think that I was the most wrong about? And I'm saying maybe I was most wrong about him.
Okay, fair.
I'll throw Zach Wilson into that mix with me because I do think that he's a boomer bust type player. I just think it's more of a bust. I would throw Justin
Jumbo Jets.
I would throw Justin Fields into that as well. Like if Justin Fields just was good this year and it was like, oh shit, maybe them not being able, not that they really fixed not being able to block for him or drafted him any weapons whatsoever. But if they can just block a little bit for him, like maybe he just takes a huge leap. And because he is realistically, like when we talk about like the types of players that you have with Allen and Herbert and just these big mobile quarterbacks with big arms. Like I think Zach Wilson Justin Fields is more mobile, but it's not like Zach Wilson is a statue at the same time. Like they fit the mold of the player that you want to have. It's can they get there? I don't think that those guys do, especially this year, but I think that's where I could be the most wrong.
I love it. I like Fields a lot too.
I think that Trey Lance is the better version of both those guys.
Maybe. We'll see.
Very possible, and he's in a great situation.
Exactly. All right, that will do it. On the Pat Mayo Experience, thanks to Geoff, thanks to Tim Undergust!
Tim Undergust.
That is not my name.
You sure?
I'm pretty sure. It's more like Christopher Walken.
Oh, good God. All right, sir. Thank you for being on. We'll be back with props, with win totals. We got a lot of fun stuff. And if you miss me and Fienberg, we're chatting golf every single Monday on the Pat Mayo Experience. Hit the time codes if you want to jump around, although you knew that because you already watched the show. What I mean to say is hit the description for the football draft kit so far, the draft kit for fantasy and the NFL previews. All free. They're all on the podcast feed as well. So you can go subscribe to that. Leave a 5-star rating and review if you would. We'll have some fun giveaways as week 1 slowly approaches. DraftKings pricing is out, so we can talk about all that. Tons of football to talk about. It was nice to dip the toe back in the water. If you missed part 1, go check that out because this was part 2. And I'm Pat Mayo, and I will see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!